Should the administration entirely extend the Bush tax cuts for a year? All right, we're bidding for a year. Here's what you said. Ryan from Florida, yes. The last thing we want to do is place more tax liabilities on an already struggling American public and drive away overseas investors from our markets with a higher capital gains tax. Chris, however, counters. The Bush tax cuts should not be extended. They ushered in the era of exorbitant deficits and should go the way of dinosaurs. Okay, joining us now to discuss is Mark Levine, Democratic policy analyst, and Ben Ferguson, syndicated host on Icon Radio Networks. Ben Ferguson, go right ahead. Launch.
Well, I think the fact is right now the President of the United States of America has spent so much money with all of his stimulus and all of his bailouts. He needs more money. And that's obvious. And the other thing is he hates anything Bush did, and that's why he's against this. The fact is you need people to have money in their own pockets right now. And the last I checked, rich people are the ones giving poor people jobs and investing right now, not poor people. So if you want to criticize that this is a tax break for the rich, I'm good with that right now because they're the ones who are actually giving people jobs, so we need it. But he's not going to send it because Bush is on it.
Mark, go get him.
Well, you didn't ask the right question in the poll. You asked about the Bush tax cuts. That is not the Obama plan. The Obama plan is to extend tax cuts for the 98% of us that earn under $250,000. All right? Those are the tax cuts that Obama cut our taxes already, giving us the largest tax cut, by the way, 98.6% for all Americans. Now, what do the Republicans want? They want to borrow more money from China and from our Social Security Trust Fund.
Yeah,
they want to extend
exactly
the deficit $678 billion, and they want to raise taxes on the middle class.
All right,
why do you want to raise taxes on the middle class, Ben?
Back to reality here. People that make over $250,000 a year are the people that actually create jobs in small business owners.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
They don't.
You're telling me. You're telling me.
Hang on.
Mark,
one at a time.
You're telling me, Mark, that people that make $35,000 and $45,000 are creating these big businesses and employing 20, 30, 15 people? Are you kidding?
That's not how economics works, Ben, and you know it. Economics it works by demand. If there's a demand for goods, businesses will put the money out there. Right now, businesses are hoarding cash. They've got so much money, they don't know what to do with it. They're not using it to finance jobs because there's not enough demand. Give money to middle class and poor people. They'll spend it. It will create demand.
Your mentality is the prime example of why unemployment is so high and why this administration doesn't know how to fix it, because you guys obviously don't understand basic economics, which is when people have money, they spend money, and they hire people, and they do things. And you guys, I don't understand. You don't get it.
Let me ask you one thing. Let me just inject another issue. The Bush tax cuts don't do anything for business. And right now, business is sitting on a pile of $2 trillion. And our own reporter, Herb Greenberg, said these goofy businesses now, because they don't have enough incentive, I guess, or whatever, they're buying sovereign debt.
As well.
They're buying Greek bonds, for God's sakes, which they know nothing about. I mean, I'd like to see you guys talk about the benefits for jobs of greater business investment. Why don't we give them some good tax breaks and stop this business war against the White House and the White House war against business?
But you just pointed out. I will say this. The fact is right now, the last thing we need is tax hikes of any kind. The problem is the way the administration thinks you fix problems is by them spending money and instead of letting businesses spend money. And that's where I have a fundamental problem with this White House is they don't understand that they cannot fix this problem. They will never fix it. The American people and business owners are the ones that are going to fix it. They always have and they always will.
Larry, you just mentioned businesses are sitting on a wad of cash, more cash than they've had in decades, and they're not spending it. Giving them more cash won't help solve the problem. The reason businesses aren't spending and investing is because there's not demand. And the way to increase demand is to make sure that the 98% of us that don't make $250,000 have enough money. Now, the Republicans have said they're going to filibuster and make sure the middle-class taxes go
Hang
on.
on, Mark, if we give you that point that we shouldn't raise taxes on the 98% of the population, why does it make sense to raise taxes on the other two? I mean, it seems like the salient point is that right now it may not make sense to raise taxes on anybody.
They're the biggest.
It's such a fragile economy.
By the way, they're the biggest consumers.
Well, you know, Republicans have complained a lot about the deficit. It will cost $678 billion to give these tax breaks to the rich who don't need it. Remember, in the Bill Clinton years, when jobs increased, the rich paid
If everyone's willing to not complain
taxes.
about the deficit, would you go along with the idea that we should just not raise taxes on everyone? We'll deal with the deficit down the road.
I'll tell you something. I'm okay with dealing with the deficit down the road. If you wanted to extend for 1 year those on the rich, I'd be okay for just 1 year. But we've got to pay this.
That's all we're asking for.
No, but we've got to pay this money back, and it's very important that the middle class.
But you just
agreed. We solved the problem, though. Everybody agrees.
Hey, Ben.
No, we don't, because Because the rich have said, no, the Republicans have said, unless we give the rich massive tax breaks for 10 years.
Why do you guys hate the rich so much? That's my question.
All I want them is to pay their fair share, Ben.
Wait.
They
Let me
pay
just
less
ask you this.
in America than every developed country on earth.
Real simple. You just agreed with the fundamental point that right now is not the time to raise taxes.
On anyone.
So, on anyone. That's what I'm saying for 1 year. The problem is you have a fundamental, I don't know, bitterness or anxiety towards wealthy individuals that are
true,
successful.
Mark?
No, I want the economy to grow.
Yes, it is.
I know that the only way the economy grows. The only way the economy grows is with demand. Now, if you're rich and you have 7 yachts, you're not going to buy an 8th yacht just because Uncle Sam
so many people
squeezes the middle class to give you a bunch of money.
Ben,
Look,
Larry,
that was the Bush plan. Ben, that was the Bush plan.
Ben,
Squeeze the middle class, give all the money to the rich, right? That was the Bush plan. And it didn't work.
Go ahead,
we lost
Larry.
jobs.
Ben, you're supposed to say the economy grows by supply and demand. And
Correct.
you can't create jobs without business investment, and you can't have a healthy business without the capital to finance it.
Larry,
you know this right now.
Mark is making a great analysis on the demand side. I'm just beefing it up on the supply side.
But Larry, why are they investing now? They have the money. That's my question for you.
You know this right now. There are a lot of businessmen and a lot of very smart CEOs who have learned in the times we're in right now to really pull back, hold back, and work the staff they do have longer.
Interest rates are very, very low, and they have lots of cash.
Hang on, one at a time. Finish, Ben, and then Mark will respond.
Part of the reason why is you don't have enough consumers out there that actually have cash. We have over 40 million Americans on food stamps right now. 40 million Americans, and you guys don't realize that. There's a lot of people right now, including my generation, that are learning for the first time ever to manage money and are paranoid about spending it. You got to let that come through a little bit.
Okay.
Ben, you're making my point. Hold on here. You're making my point. Businesses are flush with cash. They can borrow at virtually 0% interest rate, and they're not paying for jobs. What that tells you, you give as much cash as you want to the rich, no jobs. What causes it?
You hate
demand.
the rich.
No, let me finish now, Ben. Demand is what drives the economy, and the people that drive the economy are the 98% of us that spend money on things we need and not on things we don't need.
Two different topics.
You
but you know what? We got to leave it there, I think.
You know, one of the issues is
thanks, guys.
businesses, they're worried about if you're going to run $1.5 trillion deficits